When you've lived long enough, you start to realize that some holy days carry more than just spiritual meaning. They have weight, an invisible weight, one that bends time, distorts the air. My name is Manuel. I'm 76 years old, and for many years, I was the sacristan of the small church of St. Thomas, deep in the countryside of Minas Gerais. It was a place forgotten by time, where modernity barely reached. There, Lent was observed with deep reverence. People fasted, made vows, and even the children knew it was a time for silence and reflection. But no one ever told me there were secrets, and that one of them, very old, was about to awaken. It all began on a rainy night, just after Ash Wednesday. I had already extinguished the altar candles, closed the stained glass windows, and was about to leave through the side door when I heard a sound that shouldn't have been there. The faint ringing of a bell. But the tower bell had been rusted shut for decades. Slowly, step by step, I climbed up, my flashlight trembling in my hand. When I reached the top, the bell was still, but the air smelled of sulfur, and something had been freshly scratched into the wall in Latin. Mortuos in carnis, vivos in ritu. Dead in flesh, alive in ritual. I didn't tell anyone. I chose to believe my mind was just tired. But in the nights that followed, the silence of Lent filled with whispers. I didn't hear them with my ears. It was something vibrating inside my skull, as if the church itself was speaking to me. Voices murmuring ancient prayers in tongues I didn't recognize. And with them came shadows, tall figures in dark robes, appearing near the altar when no one else was around. That was when I found Father Antonio's old journal, buried behind the confessional. The journal spoke of an ancient rite, far older than the church itself, a cult that used Lent as a cover for silent sacrifices. Every 7 years during the 40 days before Easter, one of the chosen was marked to die, not in body, but in spirit. Their flesh remained alive, but their soul was sealed beneath the church's foundation, to keep at bay the hungry entities that had haunted the land since before the colonizers came. The last entry was from 1956, and I realized with horror that the next cycle was this year, 2023. I tried to warn the new priest, young Father Raphael, but he laughed, called it an old man's superstition, so I decided to break the cycle myself. One night I entered the church and destroyed the symbol carved into the altar stone. An 8-pointed star with a skull at its center. The moment my hammer cracked it, I heard a scream. But it didn't come from outside. It echoed from beneath me, from the bowels of the church. Then the walls trembled. The sacristy door slammed shut on its own, and the stained glass windows, they began to bleed. Yes, bleed. A thick, dark red liquid oozed from the saints depicted in the glass. From that night on, the village changed. The faithful stopped coming. Dogs barked endlessly around the church. Children claimed to see the man of ashes walking the halls at night. And I began to dream. In every dream, I sat in the front pew while Father Raphael preached in Latin, but his mouth was stitched shut, and thin threads of blood dripped from the pulpit. Behind him, the shadows grew, and every time I tried to leave, my legs sank into the church floor, as if held by invisible hands. By the 30th day of Lent, there was no more Mass. The church was sealed off after Father Raphael vanished without a trace. But I knew where he was, buried alive in the pit beneath the altar, the same place where, for centuries, the sacrificed souls of the ritual had been interred. I dug with my bare hands, desperate. But what I found wasn't Raphael's body. It was something else. His bones were there, yes, but wrapped in new flesh, pulsing, red, as if something was trying to be reborn from him. A voice echoed from the depths of the pit. He accepted, you deny. And then, invisible hands pulled me in. I woke in the confessional, drenched in sweat, my clothes torn. In my hand was an old crucifix, but upside down. And on the walls, someone, or something, had written over and over, "The old man is next." Since then, I've been wasting away. My nails fell out, my teeth loosened, But the worst part was the way people looked at me, as if I were already dead. I, Manuel, the sacristan, was being replaced. Slowly, from the inside. Now I write these words as a warning. If you're watching this video, it's because someone found this manuscript and decided to reveal the truth. During Lent, there's more than faith in the air. There's hunger, an ancient, deep hunger that demands payment. And if no one sacrifices themselves, it chooses and it devours. And it all begins with whispers. You will hear them, maybe in the silence of the night, maybe between the tolls of a bell that no longer exists. But you will hear